In this video, we're going to talk about cybersecurity. What is it? How does it work? What should you be looking out for? And how can you solve it for you and your business? G'day Dan, how are you?
Good, Tim.
So you've seen some interesting trends emerge in cybersecurity over the last decade or two. How did this thing begin and where's it up to right now?
Cybersecurity started out probably 20 to 30 years ago, maybe even longer, but they were fairly small, insignificant viruses that used to come up on the computer, and it would just be harmless pranks. Quite often we'd say it was usually perpetrated by some balding fat guy sitting in his mum's basement somewhere.
It's very smart, balding fat guy, yeah.
And it was really just to get maybe notoriety. It certainly, back in the early days of computer viruses, it wasn't about malicious destruction of the data. But then through the 90s and the early 2000s, computer viruses started to evolve, and then it became more of a, instead of it being where people were just trying to get notoriety, it did become more of an attack on the computers, whether to shut the computers down or even to start stealing data of the business. And certainly nowadays, in the last 3 to 5 years, attacks are mostly centralised around people trying to connect into your machines and be able to steal as much data as they can.
So how does it unfold? What should people be looking out for? What's the wrong move that people make that actually gets one of these attacks underway?
So generally these attacks will start by maybe an email coming into a user that looks like a legitimate email. It might say Australia Post and you're expecting a package. It might say movie tickets and you want some free movie tickets, or maybe you're about to fly somewhere and it's an airline ticket.
I'm getting FedEx at the moment, lots of FedEx ones I think.
Yeah, so it may look legitimate.
Fake FedEx, I should say, yeah.
Well, it may be fake, in some cases it's legitimate, but quite often those fake emails, if you click on the link, it takes you to a website where the hackers can effectively then compromise your computer and steal your data. So look out for the emails coming in from places that maybe you're not expecting it. If you are expecting a package from FedEx, instead of clicking on the link, what I say to people is go out to the internet, type in www.fedex.com and log on to the website and type in your consignment ID there rather than clicking on a link inside an email. If users did click on links in emails, the data security spectrum, if users didn't click on links in emails, data security would be a lot better.
All right, so let's say someone does actually click on a link and suddenly something starts to happen. What are you looking for? How does it unfold that in that moment?
See, when a user clicks on a link, they may not necessarily know that their computer has been infected. It may take a few forms. It might actually take several days for it to become apparent to the user that they have clicked on a link that's malicious. So as you start seeing some suspicious activity on your machine, what we say to users is turn the machine off as quickly as you can and just try and get some stability. And if once you have stability across the network and you're fairly sure that people aren't trying to steal your data, then at that point that's when you call an IT professional and have them look at your computers.
Okay, so we'll talk more about ransomware, which is what we're talking about there in another video. Let's stay big picture for a second. What are some of the security challenges when it comes to cloud computing? How do you keep your data safe?
When you move your data to the cloud, one of the biggest ways of keeping your data safe is making sure that users have got secure passwords. So ensuring that passwords are secure, ensuring that passwords are complex and not a simple password that you may have used a few years ago that was safe back then.
So I presume that the worst offenders are the password, and then I think 1, 2, 3, 4 is also a no-no. If those are wrong, what's right?
Try and use a password that has a combination of upper and lowercase letters. The password should also have numbers in it and those alphanumeric characters which are above the numbers on the keyboard as well. Use a password that has a good combination of those, and also the length of the password is important. If your password is only 6 characters, it's fairly easy to crack and for a hacker to come in and steal your data. If your password is even 8 characters, but certainly up around 10, 12 or 15 characters, your password is much more difficult for somebody to steal.
Sounds very hard to remember. Can I use the same password for everything, or should I have different passwords for different things?
It's okay to use the same password for everything as long as you keep it secure.
Okay, I get the idea. So let's talk about cybersecurity now, specifically for small businesses. What should small businesses be thinking about as opposed to, for example, me and my email or my Google accounts?
Small businesses need to make sure that all their staff are keeping their passwords secure and trying to keep their data secure. Don't give out information to people that you shouldn't be giving out, but also educate your staff about what they should look for. The staff need to understand that if they get some of these malicious emails coming in, what are some of the telltale signs that it might be an email that you shouldn't click on a link rather than a legitimate email? All
right, so they should be training them. What would be 2 or 3 notes in that training? What should you look out for in those emails?
The things that I tend to look out for in those emails are just simple things like, is the grammar correct? Are the pictures in focus or out of focus? Does it come from a website that doesn't sound like it's FedEx? Maybe it's FedEx Parcels or FedExPackages.com.au.
Or My FedEx or something like that, yeah.
Is it a website, is it coming from a website that doesn't look like it's the intended sender or who you think the sender is?
Am I wrong? Can you, I think you can do this, you can roll over a link and you can, something that says click me, and you can actually see the URL at the bottom of the screen in most cases and figure out if it's related or if it's not.
Yeah, if you roll the mouse over it before you click on it, you can generally see what the link is before you click on it.
Before you do the damage.
But as I say, try not to click on any links in the email. Go outside your web browser, access the website rather than clicking on a link inside the browser.
Go direct. Okay. What are some, now let's talk about the solutions. Of course, that is one. What are some small business cybersecurity solutions? So there's training and not clicking on the link and going to the site. What are some other things that businesses can do?
Certainly the education of the users, I think, is the most important, but then when you get past the education of the users, it then comes down to having good software that's installed on the computer and also on the server that protects the server from having hackers be able to break in. So good software can be antivirus software that is on the server and is detecting these kinds of attacks coming in.
And I presume antivirus software, anti-malware. What's the difference between viruses and malware? What is malware?
So a virus is typically something that has come into your computer without an invitation. Malware is generally a link that you've clicked on that you've authorised it to come into your computer.
Any other small business cybersecurity tips you have for us?
You have the user education, you have the antivirus software. The other important tip for a business is to make sure that you have a suitable firewall in place. The firewall is the device which sits between your business and the internet and generally protects your data from hackers trying to connect in. So it's like anything, the cheaper the firewall you get, it may not be as reliable as a more expensive firewall. So it really just comes down to what the business wants to spend on security.
All right, terrific. Thanks very much. For those of you who'd like to find out more, maybe get some specific advice from Dan or someone from his company, please visit us online at SaberVox.com.au.